Alright then guys, welcome to the video, welcome back to the channel, and you join me on a very foggy, very cold morning. I've had an absolute nightmare getting all the way up to Motion Motorsport. First part is going to be getting this Civic looked at underneath, just get the ball rolling on, well, or even for me actually just finding out what's actually wrong with this thing underneath, or the things that need to be done to get this thing repaired on the underside, get under seal, all that sort of stuff. This is sort of the starting point of figuring out actually what is up with this thing, how much work needs to be done, and then I guess I'll eventually find a price as well. I've also got a weird, I think it's an tensioner pulley or something weird sounding in the engine bay as well. It drives fine, but just has this weird whine, almost like it's supercharged. Get that looked at as well whilst we're here. Seems crazy not to. Let's jump inside, get this thing up, and I guess see how bad this thing really is. Okay guys, so Dave's just started up. My car is bringing it in now, but I thought I would show you around what is here. Things like this DC5 that's one step closer. This might have been in the background of my videos before. This thing is full restoration, everything. We've also got left-hand drive, Civic Cup car, or I think that's what it is, or 24-hour car. I can't remember what Dave said. This thing is crazy. Look in here. This thing's wild. But yeah, here comes the Civic. Absolutely filthy from the drive here, which is very upsetting because I did actually wash this yesterday. Yeah. So I did mention the idler pulley, and Dave was basically like, yeah, it's almost certainly going to be that, because if it hasn't been changed in 5 years, it's probably failed. And I've had this car 6 years and I've never done it, so that's definitely going to need to be changed today. Glad that I made it here and I haven't broken down somehow due to it.
Actually, both are really nice. I would suggest you tension a pulley, I'm a pulley in a belt.
Hoping you can hear this. Hang on, let me get my mic close.
You can't really hear it when it's not attached to anything.
I didn't actually realise it was this easy to get these out though. That was 3 seconds, and that one's out. And the other one's just coming out right now. And here is the other one as well. So yeah, both smoked basically. So gonna get these replaced. Seems crazy not to do it, especially whilst I'm here. I don't even know when these were changed, if they have been changed. Genuine Honda parts, as you can imagine. And also stealing it from a race car part. This is actually brand new, just ready to go basically. So I'm gonna take it off and put it on my car. So race car parts for my car. If you are planning on tackling this yourself, Dave just pointed out, so this is for the lower pulley here, so this nut in here comes out. So if you push this through here in the wrong angle, you see you can push this out. That is a big problem obviously, because this on the car is hidden behind on the other side. Well, the top one is fine, the lower down one, of course, classic, this way around. The harder one to get to is the one that's also harder to do. Dave is now either looking for a belt or might have to go order a belt, I'm not sure yet. But yeah, installed, and that was, I don't know what, 10 minutes, 5 minutes? So not too bad. Now the car is on its way up. So then, this is the real reason we're here. This is the bit I'm scared about.
That's broken.
There we go.
Pull this clip out in a second.
Yeah, the wing on this side is getting a bit crusty.
That round, like it slipped off a jack or something at some point.
Yeah, that was pre-me as well.
I mean, I'll pull this clip off in a second now and almost guarantee you'll need an arch panel. The way you do the arch panel, we can pull that down. Honestly, it's pretty mint. Even the filler neck's in good nick.
When I bought this, looking for rust didn't even cross my mind.
You've done alright, mate. It's mint. Honestly. Unless, like, when we do things, we take every component off the car.
Yeah.
And the reason we do that is, like, how are you supposed to treat that in that area without taking this off?
Yeah.
You can't. So all you end up doing is just covering it with under seal,
but leaving it
grow underneath and making it worse.
Yeah.
And then when you come to try and repair it, you've then got to go further into, or taking longer to remove the existing under seal that someone's put on it to be able to get to the point where you can fix it. Whereas at this minute, how it is now, is actually a better position than if it's caked in black under seal and it looks pretty. But you've still got to take this off to treat that.
Yeah.
So you can't do it like when people say, oh, we'll do stage 1 or an under seal for 500 quid. Crack on. Because you're just hiding stuff like that, you're not making it any better. You need to take everything off. Again, to get this treated, how can you treat that without taking the tank off? You can't, it's impossible. How can you get to the outer surface without taking the skirts off? How do you get to any of these bits without removing components? You just can't. You've got to take everything off to be able to treat it properly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just prolonging the inevitable, hiding a multitude of sins and waiting for them to come back, or letting the next owner inherit it. But fundamentally, your car's pretty good, and much better than 90% of them, 95% of them now. Like I say, aside from this here, this sort of poor repair where it's fell off a jack, although by itself isolated isn't that much of a problem, because you need this rear sill section. We'll take the rear wheels off in a second to pull the arch liners out, just double check the rear arch liners properly. I would assume, based upon experience in the past, that we're going to need an arch panel here in this section, but then that gives you the opportunity to treat the inner sill, or the behind the speaker area around here. At the same time, we can pull this out, cut out and replace that. Whilst we can pull the dent down, you're never going to hide that blob of weld that someone's put on there. Floor pan area, really common, not too bad, but between this seam is where the rust is starting to grow. So you can see all of the seam sealer is coming out of it now. So what we do is pull that back, get something in there, pull the two seams apart, clean it up, put it back together again and re-spot weld it. This is a really common area of corrosion as well around here, but again, your car is really good. As far as we go, I would say this was, or in the 2% of the remaining ones, in decent condition. So.
Wow, okay, that's good to know.
So that one's an arch panel, for sure, but the lip of the arch is in really good condition, which is rare. This essentially is why these are terrible, because all of that shite builds up there, and the moisture just traps up into the panel. But again, it's been under seal.
Yeah, that was me.
So what we'll do is just hide it with that.
Yeah, perfect.
So you can't tell.
Nothing wrong anymore.
Most people do.
So what's the verdict, guys? Do you reckon this is going straight through?
Exactly the same. So it's got an arch panel. But again, the arch is in really good condition. Treat that at the same time as someone pull the arch panel out, and again, because once you do this, you get better access to the behind the speaker area.
Yeah.
And obviously, like we were talking about with this outer sill, once the skirt's off, we can pull that down, cut out the section and replace it. As far as they go, every EP3 on the road now needs some form of repair work, whether it's the sills or rear arches. Olly, I don't know how you did it again, looked in a really good condition car. The common areas of rust, the arches and the sills, things like that, they all go. This only needs 2 arch panels, a little bit of a rear section of the sill and the outer sill. Obviously when you start grinding things back, that can expand and you start to sort of uncover more nasties, but because this car's not been under sealed, you can see the condition of the shell already rather than it being hidden by under seal. So
don't do what I did.
Yeah, don't cover it with under seal in the first place. If there's any rust there, you've got to go back to bare metal, treat the rust and then protect it. If you just try and jet wash it off and then wire brush it to get the loose stuff off, you just inherently make it worse. It only ever grows underneath that. And to protect these properly now, there's no sort of stage 1 or stage 2 or quick under seal, because you just cannot get into the areas that rust starts to grow from. You have to go back to a bare shell, take all the components off and treat it properly, encapsulate it. This DC5 is a prime example of why things can't be under sealed and then hidden. But this had so much metalwork and fabrication with sills, arches, boot floors, bits of chassis leg, strut tops and everything, because the thing had been under sealed immediately but not prepped or not protected. So you either end up getting to this stage eventually, or scrapping it, or you treat it properly at this stage and prolong the life of the car. I mean, and that's why we do what we do. There's not one quick fix or easy answer to this. Everything takes a lot of time a lot of prep work and a lot of fabrication to be able to get the things to be right and look right. It's easy to MOT repair something and chuck a patch on it, and then the next year you got to redo that patch and it's grown anyway, because you've not treated it properly. So there's a lot of merit in doing it right and doing it once. It's also an element if you can consolidate a lot of the jobs. So if you need bushes and things like we spoke about with the S2000, that you can address those things whilst the car's in bits, because fundamentally the half of the labour's already done while the bits of components are all lying on the floor. And if there's upgrades that you want to do, now's a good time to do it. When we do things, it gets done properly, and then the brakes are bled and the wheel alignment and everything's done. So once the car's complete again, when you can drive the car away, it's A, protected, and B, had an element of service bits and bobs along the way. So you've got a pretty good car really. It's well worth saving. A lot of them we've seen are to the point where everything's savable for us, but how much money have you got and how much you need to spend? How much does the car mean to you? Whereas with yours, it's at the stage now where if you catch it now, do it right, it's then got 10, 15, 20 years of being driven on UK roads again.
Yeah.
Or you
leave
it, and then in 2 years' time, it's at a point where you've got to then consider whether you write it off or not. Whereas yours is at now is perfect candidate to put some arches in it, put a couple of silt panels in, and then repair it and protect it. Don't leave it too long, but it's just too late.
So what sort of time does this sort of thing take?
A couple of weeks. Right, a couple of weeks. So it only takes probably a couple of days to get the thing stripped back to a bare shell, and then you can make a start and go, right, okay, let's prep it. You get underneath it with a grinder, take it back to bare metal everywhere, treat all the corrosion with some cure rust, or the bits of area which is light corrosion, go back to bare metal, stick some cure rust on that, put out all of the areas that need repairing, repair those sections, treat the behind the speakers and all that sort of stuff. Then we rust encapsulate it, and then that goes off. Then you key the whole thing with the Scotch-Brite. Then you apply another layer of encapsulator, key that, then your underbody protector, wait till that dries, assemble it, bleed the brakes, do your wheel alignment, then cavity wax it so that it all drips out. Once it's all dripped out, refit all your bungs, and then you can go away.
Right.
So there's drying time between coats.
Yeah.
There's prep time between coats, and then there's the actual physical aspect of doing the job. It's not a quick job to do, which means it's not a super cheap job to do, but again, you're better off spending the money once and it being right than spending it once and then going back and revisit it and going, I wish I'd have done that differently the first time. The way that we do it means that the cars are still the same as when we first treated them. So we've got cars going back 2-3 years down the line now that still look as good as when we first did it. Because of what we do with the primer and the initial protection and then the encapsulation in the first place, if you chip the underseal, you're not going back to bare metal, you've got 2 or 3 different levels of protection before that, so you can then touch things up in the underseal, rather than having to grind it all back again, treat the corrosion because you've chipped it, and then go back and re-protect it. So, I mean, the reason that we do what we do and the reputation that we have off the back of that is because it lasts.
It also depends on if you are, as the owner, going to keep the car long term or not as well, doesn't it?
Even if you're not going to keep it and you're thinking of selling it, as a selling point, this is a great thing to do, and it's a great advert. We document everything, you give you some pictures, and obviously on the receipt and everything of the whole process, so that when you do come to sell the car, whoever buys it can see what's been done and where. It's all well and good buying something that's been welded, we don't know where it's been welded, how it's been welded, and any pictures of the process. You don't know what's been hidden. Whereas if you're buying something that's been repaired, but been repaired properly and been restored properly, that's actually a great selling point, because you know you're not going to have to go back and revisit those areas. If you're going to keep the car long term, it's well worth doing. Even if you're going to sell the car and these areas need addressing, there's no point selling the car for less than what it's worth. You might as well spend the money, make the investment, and then go on to sell it because it's worth better money in the future. Anyway.
There we go. I didn't actually get any shots of this thing making the noise it was making, but it almost sounded supercharged. That's how whiny it was. This sounds much quieter now. This had been squeaking for a long time as well. Car is all back together and is about to head out. There we go, I guess. That is everything sorted so far today, but obviously this is just part one of the process of this thing and getting this thing sorted out. And here are the couple of piles left by my car, mainly mud and dust actually, not loads of rust, but a few little bits of rust here and there. Could have been a lot worse though, so this is exactly what today was about. Dave said that this car's from Norway and they shipped it over from Norway to have this full build done. It's insane, like all the glass is out, completely in the boot now. Rear glass is out, and they've replaced the front windows already with plexiglass. There's no windscreen or anything, but even look at the exhaust. Look how weird that is. It's got nitroning suspension in it as well. External reservoirs. This thing's going to be crazy. Left-hand drive as well, which, according to Dave, better weight distribution because the engine, obviously in an EP3, is offset over here. So if you're on this side of the car, your weight distribution as the driver compared to the engine is way better. So that's pretty wild, isn't it? So just got Dave here. I thought I would actually just clarify the cost of this, because obviously my car is completely different to anyone else's car in terms of the cost. So I just thought, I knew this before I was coming, but I thought in case you don't know how much this sort of stuff starts at, I thought I'd let Dave explain everything. So Dave.
Obviously the reason we ask everyone to come in for a health check is because every car is different. One car's level of prep that's required is completely different to another one. But essentially what our base cost of our restoration start at £2,500, and that includes the removal of all components, the treatment of corrosion, all of the materials, the encapsulator, everything, I guess rebuilds, cavity waxed, brakes are bled, wheel alignment done, and then you collect it as a completed product. Now that relies on the car being in a solid state and it's not currently under sealed. Anything else that's currently under sealed or needs more prep work, obviously the cost is additional. It takes us around about a week and a half to 2 weeks to complete the car because of the various stages that it goes through, the different drying stages, drying times, and the procedure itself just takes a long time. So there's no quick, easy or cheap way of doing this. I think this is the most affordable and complete way to do this. Obviously every car's different, so we can't say a blanket cost for everyone is £2,500, but if you use that as a base cost based upon the car not needing any further welding, or it's not currently under sealed and it's not covered in loose rust everywhere, then that gives you a solid idea of how much it is. But when we do the health check, we can assess the current condition. If there's anything that needs doing at the same time, such as bushes or ball joints, or you're thinking of doing a complete powder coat set, you want to go body colour, there's arch lip repair that needs to be done, anything like that, we need to see the car first for us to give you a good idea of how much it's going to be. But £2,500 is our base cost, so it's only ever going to be that plus how much more work the car needs.
So in theory, that should be everything I guess you need to know. I mean, again, just get in contact with Dave here, come and get your car booked in if you want to find out how much yours is going to be. Because yeah, there's no point in me really telling you the cost of mine because it's not like you can replicate the condition of my car with your car anyway. So then guys, there we go. As you can see, loading up a car in the background right now. Rolling shell. That is sort of everything I guess you're going to need to know if you're looking to get this sort of thing done as well. This is step one for me. I learnt loads. Very glad my car's in pretty good condition. I mean, obviously it's an EP3 that's 19 years old. This is a very common thing for EP3, so I was expecting this, and I did come here knowing that the base price was £2,500, so I just wanted to find out how much above 2.5 it was going to be. Well, like Dave said, this job is a massive job. You can't do it cheaply, otherwise you'll just hide problems in the future. So, and also if you've watched the review I did of the red EP3, that was like the full send on the underneath basically. So I've seen Motion Motorsport's work on multiple different cars and it is top notch. So there's another reason why I have come here to get the quote for this as well. Hopefully this has been informative for you guys. I know this is obviously crazy expensive and not an option for a lot of people. And to be honest, at the moment, I need to figure out how I'm going to afford this, but nothing's booked in or anything. This today was just to find out where my car sits with everything needing to be done. All right guys, made it back, and yeah, I just thought I would also clarify that I basically always in my head knew that this day was coming. Since I saw the first car that Motion Motorsport had done, I knew that that was the path I was going to take with the EP3 at some point. It was just a matter of when, not sort of hoping it wasn't going to be needed. The time is coming, it's getting closer, and obviously I don't want to let this go too much further than it already has before actually sorting it out, because like you've seen, there are now some holes in it. But anyway, that's going to do it for this one guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. Let me know down below if this has helped you in terms of hopefully I've been able to save your car by showing off how bad mine is or how good mine is, depending on how you look at this. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy content on the Civic or also on my S2000. Got plenty of videos still on the channel if you want to go check through some of those from the past. Yeah, don't forget to like this one, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.